Grass Pokemon are often regarded as the worst type in the Pokemon TCG, but there are still a ton of great grass Pokemon. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the notable ones, and at the end, I'm going to rank the top 3. Oh, also, this is a more edited and scripted style of video than I usually do, so I'm interested in hearing your feedback down below in the comment section. Oh, also, this is going to be a series where I talk about each type, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the videos. The first few cards we're going to talk about are from the Dipplin Thwackey deck. Dipplin has a really neat ability called Festival Lead that lets it attack twice, assuming a certain stadium card is in play. And because its base damage is 100, assuming you have a full bench, then you are doing 200 damage for only 1 energy on a single prize Pokemon. This is actually even better than that, though. Because you attack twice, if a Pokemon is knocked out with a first attack, you get to attack again into a second Pokemon and avoid wasting all that damage, unlike with regular attacks. On top of that, any damage buffs are essentially doubled, making Dipplin pair perfectly with cards like Kieran or Defiance Band. However, Thwackey might be even better than Dipplin. Thwackey has an ability that lets it switch your deck for any card every single turn, assuming that your active Pokemon has the Festival Lead ability, which of course Dipplin has, but there are also a few basic Pokemon with one retreat that have the Festival Lead ability. But let me reiterate that for you. This lets you search for any card, and it's only a Stage 1. Pidgeot EX is one of the best Pokemon in the game, and it's a Stage 2, and it doesn't sack. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, you can also use more than one Thwackey per turn, which is just crazy. The last Pokemon played in the Dipplin Thwackey deck is not Dipplin and not Thwackey, it's Rabsca, and quite simply, it protects your bench from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. It's the only real way to stop Dragapult EX from damaging your bench Pokemon, but because it's a Stage 1, Manphy and Jirachi are generally better, but it is a solid Pokemon that is worth a mention. The next Pokemon we need to talk about is Teal Mask Ogerpon EX. It's definitely the most popular grass Pokemon and potentially the most popular Pokemon of any type in the current Pokemon TCG standard format. First of all, it has an attack that does a base of 30 damage, but it does 30 more for each energy attached to each active Pokemon, and it does cost 3 grass energy. Honestly, this attack is pretty underwhelming, but its ability is where it shines. Once during your turn, you can attach a grass energy from your hand to Ogerpon, and if you do, you get to draw a card. And you can do this for each Ogerpon you have in play, and this energy can either be moved to another attacker, such as Regidrago V-Star, or it can be discarded for damage by Pokemon such as Raging Bolt EX or Sinistcha. And Sinistcha is the next Pokemon we need to talk about. It has an attack for only 1 grass energy that does 210 damage, but you need to discard 3 grass energies from your board, aka from your Ogerpons. And in this way, Sinistcha is very similar to Dipplin, which I mentioned earlier, but without the need for a specific stadium card. There's also a Sinistcha EX, and it functions as a perfect finisher in the Sinistcha Ogerpon deck, shuffling all of your energy from your discard pile back into your deck, and then doing a snipe damage attack for the amount of energy that you shuffle back in. Espathra EX is possibly the strangest Pokemon on this list. It's a Terra Pokemon EX that uses Psychic Energy and is normally played in predominantly Psychic decks. Its attack also has the same damage output as Ogerpon, that being 30 base damage with an additional 30 damage for each energy on either active, but this time it only costs 1 Psychic Energy to use. However, it does have an amazing ability that increases the attack cost of your opponent's active Pokemon by 1 colorless energy if Espathra EX itself is in the active spot. It can be a massive pain to deal with for many decks, but it does lack big damage, even more so than Ogerpon because it can't accelerate its own energy, and it's also an evolution Pokemon. But I guess now it's time to talk about Charizard EX. Charizard EX is horrible for grass Pokemon because it hits them for weakness, and oh wait, wrong Charizard EX. Here we go. Charizard EX is an amazing card and deck, but it is weak to grass. It also uses fire energy, so it has the potential to pretty easily play fire Pokemon, which of course hit grass Pokemon for weakness, but still, there are a number of strong grass Pokemon that are generally counters to Charizard EX. These are Pokemon like Superior V-Star and Iron Leaves EX, which aren't that good by themselves, but against Charizard EX, they are very powerful. Also, I just want to shout out a few other grass Pokemon that have a bunch of utility. Radiant Serena is a great healing tool and arguably the best in the game, but it's often ignored because it's outclassed by the other Radiant Pokemon, most notably Radiant Greninja. There's also Toadstool and Toadstool EX, both which are solid defensive counter Pokemon with really useful abilities in certain matchups. However, they're only useful in a few matchups, and the rest of the time they're just useless and they're liabilities, and they're just not very good. Also, there is Meowscarada EX. I don't think this card is very good, but it's okay, and I know there are some people who are big fans of it, so I figured I'd mention it. So I guess it's time to decide what the top 3 are. In the number 3 spot, I'm going to have to put Espathra EX. Honestly, it's just a brutal card for a lot of decks to deal with, and it's a great secondary attacker, but also a solid main attacker when paired with certain types of energy acceleration. The second best grass Pokemon card is Thwackey. Its ability is absolutely insane, although it does require you to have a certain active Pokemon. However, with Rescue Board, this isn't that big of a deal, and I think this Pokemon is actually pretty slept on. However, the best grass Pokemon has to be Teal Mask Ogerpon EX. It's really the only grass Pokemon that sees a lot of competitive play right now, and it synergizes really well with some of the game's best attackers. And it has definitely given the grass type a better name. But is grass a good type? Honestly, not really. It's still pretty weak compared to the other types. However, I definitely don't think it's the worst. And as we continue to cover the other types, I think you'll see that. But I've been Titan, but I've been 10 types, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Consider liking and subscribing, and as always, I'm excited to see you in the next one.